Hello, my friend. So let's go ahead and jam on the reasons why you may be feeling like certain things aren't working out the way they used to. So if you've landed on this video, then that means on some level, this concept resonates with you. So if it feels good to continue the video, I invite you to do so. It may provide you with some context on why certain things in your life may not be appearing to work how you remember them working. And so if you are feeling frustrated or stuck or just simply curious as to why this may be so, this video has found its way to you, and it's going to provide you with a few different perspectives that you can check in with yourself and see whether or not this fits right for you. So I'm Danielle, and one of the many things that I do is I work as a strategist, a hypnotherapist, but I am also a flow-based reality guide. And one of the things that I really enjoy doing is creating these synchronistic videos. So if you are a regular on my channel, you probably have found that these videos tend to find you at the right time or give you a certain message to look at, or maybe you go back and look at them. If it's your first time here, welcome. We are all playing a synchronicity game. So whether you are watching just this video or you choose to go deeper in the game with us, glad to have you here. Now, everyone that I am attuning to on some level in my experience and in my perception is someone who is here to embody very powerful, very important teachings for this day and age. Now, before we go on to, an idea of, what's important, what's powerful, let me provide a few bits of context that may connect with you. So I perceive anybody on this channel, and certainly anyone who's watching the video to this point, is someone who has chosen to be alive at this time in this world, someone who has chosen to share some form of teaching. It doesn't have to be a verbal teaching. The teaching could be the way you live. The teaching could be that you are a unique artist that is expressing your art in a certain way. The teaching can be the way that you show up to the office, the way you raise kids, the way you write a book, whatever it is. The point is there is something important and unique about the way that you live life that the world is requesting at this time. And by the world, let's just say consciousness at large at this time on the planet. We'll start with that definition. So first off, cheers to that. Cheers to you. Very much appreciating that you are here and now. Very much appreciating that we're having this moment to talk right now, because from my perspective, you are doing one of the most important things you can do, which is to be utterly yourself. Now, if that sounds a little bit like I'm being too inspiration talky, I'll go a little bit further and share why I'm in appreciation of this. You see, I perceive that we are at a time where we are terraforming the planet, and not necessarily just terraforming it from the way that we understand, such as, we're planting trees or doing things with the ecosystem. I perceive that you and myself are here because we have chosen to energetically terraform this planet on some level or another. I'll say this another way. I perceive you and I are here to live a certain kind of life that gets to be an example for those living around you right now, for those potentially in your genetic line, because some of us will have ancestors, and for those who may just observe you or pick up things from you, or their parents pick up things from you and they teach it to their kids. The point is, not only in my perspective are we all built to thrive, but we are all built to teach and learn from each other. And the way we do that is through the way that we live. This is what I call embodiment. But here's the thing. While we are built to thrive, to prosper, to do all these things, some of us have been shown or demonstrated that it is not safe, right, to be ourselves. We may have picked that up somewhere along the way. And so we have told ourselves stories about who we need to be in a society, in a world, in a community, in a family, whatever, that may or may not have seemed to either reject who you are, or perhaps you feel that if you were your truest self, you would be rejected on those levels. And I'm not here to say that is or not true, because, you know, we still live in a time experience where people, you know, will have differing perspectives, and they may or may not express rejection towards you. Now, the thing about that is, anytime someone is sharing something with you about you, they are really just offering a reflection of their relationship, of their experience of you within themselves. I'll say that another way. Whether someone is perceiving you as good or bad, or, you know, right or wrong, what they're really sharing with you is their relationship to themselves. This is really what I perceive we are all doing on some level or another. It's a big paradox. It's why it's very personal and not personal at all to be in a human experience. It's maybe a conversation for another day. And back to our center point here. So if you felt things haven't been quite maybe working out in some ways, well, as mentioned, I have perceived many of us to be these energetic terraformers. So we're approaching this point in reality where, you know, I'll simply describe it as we're all experiencing and witnessing big shifts inside and outside. We've experienced the internet, we've experienced AI. There's just a lot of rapid shifts that are happening, you know, even in a perceived, let's say 100 or 200 year span. And we are at this precipice where certain systems are reaching the end of their life cycle. We can see this, you know, potentially economically in a lot of different places around the world, but we can also see this in the way our relationship with the planet is, right? We've talked a lot about what is sustainable in the planet or not. And so we're at this pivot point in humanity where choice not only gets to be made, but you could say technically has been made. And the reason I say it has been made is because you and I are having this conversation right now. It's because we're in this place right here, right now, where we are existing in the beings we are, talking about this conversation the way that we are. I perceive we have chosen to be present at this time. We have chosen to remember ourselves at certain levels, and we have chosen to embody ways of life that are supportive and, I want to say supportive, synchronistic, and sustainable. Maybe also saucy. I threw that one in there for me. And I perceive that sustainability isn't just about the planet and the trees and the resources, but our ways of life. Like what is actually sustainable for us to live, you know, because around the world, there's still slavery, you know, there's still unsustainable ways for individuals, for communities, and for cities to live. And I perceive that many of us who are present right now, you know, we're not here to just talk about expanded consciousness. I perceive we are here to actually live what it is to be individuals, to be communities, to be greater communities, to be a greater human planet, of actually embodying new systems in new ways. Now, here's the cool thing. So for many years, I have been a marketer. I've been a digital strategist. I've worked in, you know, a lot of businesses and worked with a lot of people who have a lot of different drives. And one thing that I learned about when I did this is I learned how many successful business owners or marketers, they will think laterally, meaning they think in new and creative ways. They pivot, they adapt a lot. They build systems, you know, maybe with some planning, but ultimately they move forward and they implement and they improvise as they go. And it's the consistency and the tenacity to the vision that usually determines whether a person will be successful or not. I say this having witnessed hundreds of businesses, and having worked with probably over 1,000 business owners at this point. And in the same way, in the way we operate in this reality, we have ways that we can approach the living and the embodiment of reality from a place of this curious consistency. Consistency in what? Consistency in living our heart-based values. When I say heart-based, I don't just mean, feeling things that are feeling. What I mean when we are operating from the place where we're receiving communication from the heart, we're not just thinking thoughts, but we're actually moving from the source of deep intelligence that resides not just within us, but as us, that is interconnected in an aware way to the intelligence that it lives as across time and space. I know that might have been a little heady, but give that one to your subconscious to chew on. You really are perceptive enough to receive all of this, especially if you're listening to this point. So if some of this is a lot, I advise you, if it feels good to you, to give it to your subconscious to chew on and say, what do you make of this? And probably give you some good information. And so if things aren't working out the way they used to, well, you have on some level decided to abide by your core values, or you are on the path to do so, or you are making that transition in some way. And if that's the case, it's very possible and very probable that old relationships, old ways you used to work or create or derive income or find jobs, or old places you used to live in, old friendships you used to have, it's possible for some of these things to become distant or change, or maybe even completely leave your life or not work anymore. And it doesn't mean you are doing anything wrong. This is so important. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It's simply just an external reflection that you have or you are embodying an inner change. Now, I can really understand and relate how sometimes those changes can feel like a lot. So what I invite, if you're still in this video, if you're watching at this point, is first off to, just take a moment. Like, if this feels good, take a moment, connect with your heart here. Because there is so much you have experienced and done in your life already, you likely have felt like you have lived lifetimes, like in one life. And you've likely gone through just a lot, and you are still standing, metaphorically. So I really invite you to take a moment to thank the self, thank yourself. It's important, to receive those moments of self-appreciation. Then I invite you to consider that if things, like I said, aren't working out the way they used to, something has shifted at your inner level. You have entered a new level of commitment. You are a terraformer. You are exploring new ways of bringing more sustainable patterns in the world on every level. Business, relationships, ways of living, ways of working, ways of community, ways of anything. So this is a reminder, you cut yourself a little slack, cut yourself a break, appreciate. You get to appreciate yourself. And there's no shame, no condemnation in any of this. Just an awareness, because when you are someone who goes as deep as you, it can sometimes be helpful, just to have that reminder, like, hey, you doing great. Good job. This might be why things are happening. Yep. Confirmations. So I hope this video has been of great assistance to you. At the time of making this video, the Synchronicity Flow workshop registration is open. I'll have some details in my description. You can also check my description for other tools, resources, programs, and experiences, and ways to connect with me, whether you're an individual that may be seeking a certain kind of guidance, certain kind of activation, or if you are someone in a business or organization who is looking for this kind of strategy or guidance. I invite you to take that step if you are feeling called or inspired. In all the ways, I deeply appreciate you and this time that we've connected together, and I look forward to our next conversation together.